first question is like, what is the difference between Nilesh Oak? Nilesh Oak is pretty famous in India, and he says like he has given his dates of Mahabharata around like 5000 BC and Ramayana around like 12,000 BC. But what is the problem with his narrative? I know one thing I learned actually from your interview itself is like the Rama's Nakshatra Mandala, the astrology related to Rama's birth has been removed. The shloka has been removed in critical edition. I watched you in one of the interviews. So, and Nilesh Oak is using that sloka to do the dating, right?
Yes.
So, what is his narrative versus yours, and where did he fall back?
Yeah, yes, multiple problems with Sri Nilesh Oak's dating. So I have nothing against the person, but whatever research he has done completely destroys the historicity of Ramayana and Mahabharata, because this 12,000 BC is actually what you call Paleolithic age. That is, the people were hunter-gatherers, and even 12,000 BC, the farming was itself was in a very kind of primitive stage. So mostly 90% of the people were hunter-gatherers. They used primitive stone tools. Even now, there is no knowledge of metals like even copper, bronze, or iron. So that is the kind of period in which Sri Rama is kept, and there is an insult to Rama himself, because that date of Rama in 12,209 BC, to be precise, destroys the historicity of Ramayana and reduce Rama into a hunter-gatherer with stone tools. But that is not what you see in the Valmiki Ramayana. It mentioned about bronze, iron, copper, gold, silver. So it's in a metallic age. Metallic age, that is after the Stone Age, later to 5000 BC, the age of metals started, starting with copper, and then copper alloys like bronze and brass. And in 2000 BC, we have iron weapons. So this kind of dating for Sri Rama in 12,000 BC is just a spurious date, and he uses some astronomy information which is not part of the critical edition of the Valmiki Ramayana, because the birth date of Rama, the Rama Jataka, which has emerged in the Gupta period, that is now removed from the critical edition of the Valmiki Ramayana. After 25 years of research into thousands of versions of regional versions of the Ramayana, a group of researchers in the University of Baroda, that in the last 20th century, they have done the critical edition of the Valmiki Ramayana, and similar project for the Mahabharata by Bandar Oriental Research. Thousands of versions of Mahabharata. They have cleaned up the older, the later editions, which are extremely late. So similar cleanup happened for Ramayana, and this particular Rama Jataka, where the planetary positions during the birth of Rama is removed from Valmiki Ramayana, because it is very late. So because once you use this very late things which are added into Valmiki Ramayana and then start dating, you get this nonsense date like 12,209 BC, etc.
So Nilesh Oak's prediction is completely based on astro-literary data. So he takes literary from literature. Is there any archaeological evidence or any other evidence that support his argument?
No, absolutely no. That's what I was saying. In the archaeology, if you look at this 12,200 BC, only hunter-gatherers with this stone weapons, that too primitive stone weapons. Because there is another researcher, Saroja Bala, again same mistake. She also used the Rama Jataka, but she got a little more better date, that is 5,114. Again, it is in the Mesolithic age. Same Rama Jataka she is wrongly using and reaching the Mesolithic age. There, the only betterment is some polished metal tools. And the polish, this Mesolithic people, they can create cities, they can live a very decent life. But still, there is no knowledge of weapons, the metals. Like copper is still late from 4000 BC onwards. The proper usage of copper starts. So even 5,514 BC from Sarojawala, even though it is 10 times better than Nilesh Oak's date of 12,209 BC, same problem is there. Archaeology gets this iron weapons in the Indo-Gangetic plain, starting with 2200 BC, but a little more stable iron usage in 2000 BC. I'm talking about Indo-Gangetic plain where Mahabharata and Ramayana unfolded. Not talking about South India, where you have iron weapons from 3400 BC onwards. But the same archaeologist very clearly says, but in the North India, the conditions were different. Iron technology from 2200 BC onwards. So my date of Rama, which is later to 2000 BC, that is in the century of 1950 BC to 1850 BC, that in that century, we have everything that is mentioned in the Valmiki Ramayana: iron weapons, horse-driven war chariots, then elephants used in the warfare. Everything that is mentioned in the Valmiki Ramayana become absolutely true later to 2000 BC. But earlier than 2000 BC, all this become poetic imagination. This become fiction. Like if somebody says, no, my hero or the person I am talking about, he used mobile phones in 15th century. Whether it is history or it is fiction, it is fiction, because mobile phones are invented later to 1960. That is the primitive form of mobile phones in 1960s, and something which people can use. It started from 2000, the Samsung Galaxy and Nokia phones, everything in 2000. So before 1950, if somebody says I used mobile phones, like if say Mahatma Gandhi used mobile phones, then it's wrong. That is how we can understand. Now this is pure fiction. You're reducing everything into fiction. When you are putting Rama or the Pandavas into the period where the technology used by Rama and Pandavas doesn't exist, that becomes fiction. So that is why we focus on the dates which are we can be considered as historical. So all of us want Rama and Pandavas to be historical. Then we have to date them in the period where the technology mentioned by them is actually existing.
So how come his narrative is so popular and academicians, did any Indian academician or anybody condemn it? Because that's the narrative which is popular and believed by many people
Right.
in India. So how do you counter that?
So
Are
yeah,
any countermeasures?
this is a trick of the social media. What happens? The voices of the real researchers, for example, like me, or the date of Kurukshetra War, that is well defined. Kurukshetra War date. Even using astronomy itself, same technology, same method. Nilesh is using same method of astronomy. That comparing the astronomical information, planets and stars in the Mahabharata and checking it in the planetarium software. Same thing Dr. Ashok Bhatnagar has done, and he got the date of 1793 BC for Kurukshetra War. But these dates are not getting popularized because the person, he is actually a joint director of Indian Meteorology Department, and he is not very much interested in in podcasts or being in the public media. So such people are just not part of the limelight. But Nilesh Oak, now he is very militantly popularizing his dates by using a large army of followers. And some of the podcasters like Ranveer Allabadia, they don't know real details. No, they don't follow the proper logic. So anything Nilesh says, they say, yes. So like that, now it's getting popular to millions of people. And so that's why this entire thing is a social media viral active, that kind of phenomena. But if you ask Dr. Sanjay Manjul, who is a very well reputed archaeologist, he is a joint director of Archaeological Survey of India. They will not agree with Nilesh, because Sanjay Manjul himself have given the date of 1800 to 1700 BC, 100 years of range, because archaeologists never put any exact date, they will give a range. So that range they have given is 1800 to 1700 BC for the Kurukshetra War. And the oldest chariot driven by horses, the Sinoli that he has excavated, that is dated to 2000 BC.